Yoichi Isagi and Sai Itachi are two of the most popular characters in the Blue Lock manga, who ever since the U20 game and that final comment from Sai himself, have kept the community on the edge of their seat in anticipation for an eventual team-up. And thanks to an interview with the mangakas of Blue Lock, Muneyuki Kaneshiro and Yusuke Nomura, it has been confirmed that Sai and Isagi will eventually team up in the future of the story. But when exactly will we see this team up between the U20's greatest midfielder and Blue Lock's greatest egoist? Well, in today's video, I'll be breaking down not only when I think Isagi and Sai's team up will take place, but also how it will provide context to what exactly happened in Spain and bring some lesser known characters into the spotlight of the story. This theory is honestly one of the best that I've ever concocted and ties in a lot of the unanswered questions that we have from Blue Lock, so you're going to want to pay attention. Before getting into the video though, I want to leave a spoiler warning for up to chapter 289 of the Blue Lock manga, so if you are not caught up to that point in the story, I would suggest clicking off this video now if you wish to not be spoiled. I also have a Discord server called the New Egoist Geeks, which you should totally join. The link to that is down below. Now before getting into the theory itself, I need to give a huge shout out to one of my subscribers, this guy right here. If it wasn't for Hamid, I wouldn't have been able to fully realize this theory, so again, thank you so much, bro. Then this theory begins with what follows the NEL, as we know that it is going to end in a couple of months. Based on the timeline of Blue Lock, the NEL began 100 days prior to the World Cup. And thanks to Ego, we learned that there are usually 2 games that take place every 10 days or so. Meaning at the end of the NEL, we're going to have around 48 to 50 days until the World Cup begins. Now, I've had a personal prediction that after this arc, we are going to get a short mini training arc that is very similar to the 3rd selection. In this arc, the top 23 surviving players will be placed against each other to refine their individual styles into several formations designed for the World Cup. This prediction mostly comes from the fact that the NEL, or Phase 2 of the Blue Lock project, is very similar to Phase 1, which includes everything leading up to the U20 game. And with the World Cup being the next big thing in series, it would make sense that there would be time for the players to train and hone their chemical reactions using their new styles. I still believe that to be true, but thanks to Hamid, I've expanded upon this theory. Hamid had proposed that there was going to be a reward for the winner of the New Egoist League, and so it got me thinking. With there being 23 players left, assuming I am correct about the team building arc, one player would be left out or be placed as a substitution, unless that one player just so happened to not be at Blue Lock. I'm theorizing here that the winner of the New Egoist League is going to gain personal access to a training camp hosted by the world's strongest club, that being Reale. Now just hear me out on this while I explain. You already heard my explanation in relation to the one player left out, but why would you send that one character away to train? I mean, wasn't this entire arc technically a training arc with experience in Europe's biggest football countries? Well, yes it was, but wasn't it a little bit weird that the world's strongest club, being Reale, wasn't a part of the New Egoist League? I mean, we do know that Reale is fond of Blue Lock and is still relevant to the story, as seen with Sai somewhat representing them in the U20 game, but also granting a bid value to Kaiser. And that bid value is also very, very important for this theory, so hold on to that little bit of information. We know that at the beginning of the series, Ego had promised players that whoever finished at the top were enlisted to take part of a training camp hosted by the world's best soccer players. And we know that that didn't happen because the U20 game came as a surprise to both Ego and the players in universe. But what if Ego's promise was simply just a delayed reward? What if the top player at the New Egoist League would be invited to train at their club prior to the World Cup? And this here is where it gets a little bit interesting. In my top 23 predictions video, I had said that I believe that Isagi will come out on top as the winner of the New Egoist League, surpassing Reine in bid value. And I still think that this is what is going to happen, but it will also be what leads Isagi to teaming up with Sai. By being crowned the victor, he will be granted the chance to play at Reale, finally confirming the statement said by the mangaka that Isagi and Sai will team up. Now people like to take the statement made by the mangakas and say that Sai is going to be playing for the Japan U20 team. However, that is very unlikely to happen. This is because Sai is likely under contract with Reale, as his intention was to go pro in Spain once he hit the legal age. So currently it's likely to conclude that Sai is actually under contract with Reale and therefore is unable to play for Japan in the World Cup. But doesn't that mean that Isagi can't go to train in Reale? Well, technically no, because Isagi and the rest of the Blue Lockers are not registered to represent Japan just yet. However, the assumption that Isagi could train at Reale comes from the theory that Isagi is going to steal Kaiser's bid from Reale. Part of my theory takes a lot of inspiration from Haikyuu, as we know that Kageyama was invited to a training camp to practice with some of the best in the country. However, in this instance, Isagi was invited to train with the best club in the world as a reward for being the champion of the New Egoist League. Now remember how I said that Kaiser's bid value was important? Well, that kind of ties into my theory right here. Because Kaiser was offered a bid from Reale, which we're assuming that he doesn't lose, he will eventually play for the same club as Sai. And as I'm predicting here, Isagi will be training with Sai prior to the World Cup. But why exactly do I bring up Kaiser here? Well, that ties in for 2 points, but I'm only going to address one of them now. The The one thing I want to mention now is that the next arc could complete or nearly complete Kaiser and Isagi's rivalry and character arc together. With both players going to Reale, it would not only allow for an Isagi and Sai team up, but also allow for Kaiser and Isagi to finally settle their differences as strikers playing against each other. Kaiser and Isagi, despite how it may appear, have never actually competed against each other before. This is because both Kaiser and Isagi currently are on the same team for Bayern München. However, by going to Spain and participating in practice matches, Isagi would eventually face off against Kaiser as an opposing striker. This would allow for Isagi to get the individualized training that he needs to become an incredibly powerful lone player. With the latest arc, we've seen and learned more about Isagi's ego, his abilities and true flow state, as well as the talented learner and genius classification of players. This next arc would allow for Isagi to delve more into the psychology of these terms and therefore develop better as an individual player. Because when looking at Isagi's overall abilities on a team, he is probably one of the best, if not the best, in the U20 category. However, as an individual, Isagi really can't compare against those like Green, Bado, or Chigiri. This training at Reale, facing a very powerful individualized striker in Kaiser with the support of an incredible midfielder in Sai, would lead Isagi to develop the much needed individualized skills. Skills that would lead him to being a just as powerful individual force as Reale going into the World Cup. This future development is actually hinted at from Sai's dialogue in the U20 match with things said specifically to Shido and Isagi. Sai's dialogue of finding the most rational and creative plays that he could understand, as well as acknowledging Isagi's brain and talent to change Japan. These comments could be hinting at Sai being the next piece for Isagi's development, as the wording chosen by Sai seems to align pretty clearly to the current Yoichi Isagi. And with him literally calling Isagi a player who could change Japan, it'd be somewhat beautiful to have Sai be the person to nurture this player into changing Japan's soccer, the same country that he once refused to play for but still believed could change. But with Sai and Isagi teaming up and Isagi going to Reale, I believe that this could be a chance for us to explore Sai's backstory in Spain. And from the general consensus of what people believe happened to Sai in Spain, I actually have a different opinion that I think aligns much better. Before I get into that though, if you are enjoying this video so far and enjoying this theory, leave a like and subscribe down below to see more awesome Blue Lock content just like this. And if you want to become a member of this channel, you would unlock some awesome perks, including custom video requests and shoutouts in videos. All the funding of memberships goes towards the Blue Lock New World movie, so if you want to show your support, become a member. Now, the general belief of what happened to Sai in Spain comes down to the involvement of Luna. Luna, from how he was shown in the anime, was this cocky but very skilled individual who knew of Sai, even mentioning him to Rin. However, what was excluded in the anime, the manga delves deeper into Luna's personality, seeing that he is a very blunt and sadistic person at his core. Because of this, people believe that he was the reason that Sai gave up on his dream to become the best striker in the world. However, I don't believe that Luna was actually involved. At least not entirely. While I do believe that Luna was a factor, I don't believe that he was the only factor to crushing Sai's dream. Looking at the words that Sai uses in his backstory with Rin, he implies people, meaning more than one person. And sure, that doesn't necessarily imply that Luna was the only culprit, it just doesn't make sense to me that one lone player was able to crush Sai's dream. Given what we saw in the full backstory, he seemed to have a very strong ego when it came to his position, so I doubt that one cocky adult would be enough to shake his resolve. However, I do believe that there was one major person who affected Sai, that being Ray Dark. For those who don't know who Ray Dark is the current president of the International Football Association. And we also learned that he was the man who recruited Kaiser into soccer and saved him from prison. But why and how is Ray Dark involved with Sai's dream? We see from Ray Dark's conversation with Kaiser that he was scouting out soccer talent when he discovered Kaiser. And we know that according to the Blue Lock wiki, the president of the International Football Association is the only person who can grant a player the title of New Generation World 11. Doesn't it seem a little bit strange that the same man who recruited and saved Kaiser is also the person who gave him and Sai their titles as next generation superstars? We can assume that Ray Dark has been scouting individuals for a long time prior to even meeting Kaiser, seeing the visual age difference between his past and current appearance. This to me would not only imply that he's been with the company for a long time, but also been recruiting talent for a long time. And looking at the relative age between when Sai went to Spain and when Kaiser was saved from prison, they seem to be relatively the same age, which could solidify my point in saying that Ray Dark recruited the both of them. And it wouldn't be a shocker as to how Ray Dark discovered Sai in the first place. I mean, not only was Sai seen on TV before, but he has also been in the newspaper on several occasions. But again, how does this lead to Ray Dark being the one to crush Sai's dream? Let's assume that Ray Dark approached Sai in the same way that he approached Kaiser, sensing a promising young talent. However, the main difference from Kaiser is that Ray Dark had data and footage to review of Sai's performances, and he discovered that Sai is not fit to be a striker as he currently was pursuing. Even we can determine this, as aside from the goal he scored in the backstory with Reale and in the U20 game, Sai has never been shown to score a goal, only assisting other players. Even his first play in his backstory before teaming up with Reale, Sai had intended to pass to someone, where Reale had intercepted it to score. And after that point, Sai continued to assist Riin, never scoring a goal himself despite claiming to be a striker. What if Ray Dark had addressed this to Sai, showing him proof that whether he had meant it subconsciously or not, he was not playing as a striker and his skills were better suited to be a midfielder instead? Let's assume that, like Riin though, Sai had originally refuted this idea, until he was proposed a challenge by Ray Dark. You think you're striker material? Fine then. If you can beat these actual strikers, then I'll take back what I said. If you can't, you'll forever play as a midfielder. This to me would be a very good parallel to another sports manga, Aoishi, where Fukuda told Ashido to convert to a defender. This situation with Ray Dark and Sai is what I would believe to be a similar one. By threatening his ego and current dream, Ray Dark intends to develop Sai into a midfielder who can elevate the world's true strikers, the true strikers that he is going out and scouting. But let's assume that Sai accepts this challenge, and he loses. Again and again and again. Sai gets defeated over and over again by players who truly call themselves strikers. This crushes Sai's ego, bringing him back down to zero. This calls in the return to zero theme that we have currently in the story, where it would set Sai up for a new dream and a new style to arise as a midfielder, which is exactly what happens. Sai eventually gives in and becomes a midfielder, spending the next few years in Spain training as a midfielder, where he eventually returns to Japan to find Riin practicing his shooting. The story plays out as we know. However, it provides a lot of context for Sai's speech and his decisions, but it also clarifies a lot about their relationship. In the same interview that mentioned Sai and Isagi's eventual team up, we got informed that Sai actually doesn't hate Riin and believes that there is nothing wrong with their relationship, at least in his eyes. However, if Sai's backstory plays out how I predicted, it could provide us some context as to why he thinks this way. With Sai proposing the same challenge to Riin as Ray Dark did, he's testing Riin's ego and skills, and with him losing, Sai doesn't want the same thing that happened to him to happen to Riin. However, because of what was pointed out to him by Ray Dark, if Sai isn't the one to have those striker qualities, then Riin is likely the one to fit that archetype. So in his own way, Sai tried to stoke Riin's ego by not only giving Riin an easy access into his flow state through his fixation and pressure with him, but also gave Riin's ego another anchor in case a situation like what happened to him faces Riin in the future. But that was just my theory as to how Sai and Isagi are going to team up, as well as how this ties into Sai's backstory in Spain. Now, if you guys disagree with me, that is totally fine, because again, this is just a theory. And if I do turn out to be wrong in the future, then I'll admit it, I was wrong. But aside from that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video and this theory, and will continue to enjoy it in the future. Remember to become a member or join my Discord, as both are ways to share your support for this channel as I continue to make content for you guys. As for the question of the video though, what do you believe happened to Sai in Spain? Leave me your thoughts down below in the comments section. And like always, thank you all for watching, like and subscribe to see more awesome Blue Lock content just like this.